All right, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Inspire Live Demo Q&A. My name is Paula Newcom, and I'm the Northeast Regional Coordinator from the Indiana State Library's Professional Development Office, and I will be the presenter today. And my co-host is Kara Cleveland. So just a couple of announcements before we begin. To register for other webinars or other trainings available from the Professional Development Office, please see the Indiana State Library's events calendar, which can be found on our website at www.in.gov/library. For a full list of current and in-person training menu, please see our continuing education website. This session is about an hour, so you will receive one TLAU for this presentation. If you're watching an archive recording of this webinar, instructions on how to obtain your TLAU are in the video's description on YouTube, or you can find those instructions on ISL's continuing education website under LAU policies. So let's get started. I'm going to open up with a few Google slides, which you see right now, what we're going to talk about today. So as I said before, I'm Paula and this is Karen. You can see us, of course, in our little videos. She is the Professional Development Office Supervisor. So again, attendees, you'll be muted. So raise your hand to ask a question or put it in the chat box. And if you do put a question out to the chat box, make sure you change it from host and panelist to everyone. I've done that myself, that I thought I was talking to everybody and I was not. So today, this is what we are going to be talking about. I'll show a few of the changes on the Inspire interface. We'll go over teaching books and book connections. That's something I guess I recently discovered, that we had a new one called Book Connections, and there's some changes with teaching books. There's also a big change with Access Indiana and also Inspire. I think I probably will be able to go through some slides to show you what I did to get my account set and my Inspire saved articles into my new folder. And we'll also do a live Inspire demo. And also I asked a few people for questions, so we can go over some of the questions that I received and demonstrate that as well. Okay. So this is the final training for 2021 for Inspire. We are starting to look at 2022 and find out or figure out some ideas, but be sure to check the ISL calendar for when we add those, and we definitely will put them on the listserv, so you'll know that when we're updating those. Also be aware of the many archive webinars that we have on Inspire on our archive webinars page. So this is the interface. I don't know, when I sent out the survey yesterday, I think only one person really hadn't used Inspire before, only had 6 people respond. That's okay. But we have had some changes to the Inspire interface. So I'll probably do that. Well, I'll go ahead and go over to that now. Let's do that. So Inspire now has, these are new up at the top. I guess they've reformatted it a little bit. We've got research, test, career prep, the Indiana News and History, search by subject. Database is A to Z. We already had that. And we also have the advanced search. And we have this, that changes to tell you more about what Inspire is. Down below that, we've got specific sections on kids, students, and adults. And then we also put it out by grade level, or tried to put it in different categories. So we've got the K through 4, 5 through 8, and the other grades, the high school. And then this will look familiar probably to most of you. These did not change. At the bottom, I think we've now got a separate one for book connections. I'll go over that in a little bit. And teaching books and Newspaperscom, we've been having trouble with that. I'm not sure if we've got that resolved yet, but that we've been having issues with this. At the very bottom of the page, if you haven't seen this, we've got the about and the FAQs and the contact. FAQs are really good. If you click on that, they've got a lot of information on what Inspire is. What do I do if I'm having troubles? If I can't log into my account? There's a new one. Where is it? They have all the new links. Since they've changed to Access Indiana, you might need to change links if you had linked to a specific database. So be aware of that. How do I add a database to my website directly? So there is the linking information. They've got all of the specific links on there, so that's very helpful. Let's see what else. I did have a question from somebody. I'll go over that right now since we're here. Someone asked, how do I find an article from the parent magazine? I'm just going to do a quick search so I get to the screen that I really want. You can do a publication title search up here, and they ask for Parents Magazine. So if you click search, it'll bring up the magazine. So it'll tell you what database it's contained in. So it's in the master file complete. If you click that, it'll bring up the different issues. And also you can search within the publication. I do not remember who was the person who asked the question. So if you're on right now, you want to put in the chat, if you're there, what you're trying to specifically find. If we hit search within the publication, it brings up this, so you can type in what you're looking for. So I hope that helps. So, okay, and someone else asked about, or talked about that they work in genealogy. We do have the Indiana News and History, which we don't really necessarily have a genealogy database on here, but that would probably help you. You can go to the Hoosier State Chronicles, which are historic newspapers that they have digitized. The digital collections from across Indiana, that would be another good spot. And the Indiana Legacy, which does have actually a lot of genealogy helpful information that you could find. The list of indexes here, and it tells you what the name of it is and how many records, and sometimes it gives you the dates. So that would definitely probably help with some genealogy. We just don't have the ancestry.com that is available on Inspire. Let's see, and other questions. That's basically it, I think, for now. We'll go ahead and get into our next section. Was talking a little bit about the teaching books and the book connections, and also Kira, chime in with this if you know more about it. Teaching books has so much information in it for, it's geared toward teachers, and the book connections on the other side is fairly new and it's geared toward public libraries. And we also do have archive webinars on that as well. So I actually had to take one myself because I didn't really, for some reason, I missed that we had something new called Book Connections, but it's got lots of information on children's and young adult books. There's book readings, book award lists, and they are also geared toward Hoosiers. So there's Hoosier Book Awards, Rosewater, The Firefly. You can get author movies, recordings, and also hear how I can't say the word today, authors pronounce their names. Book trailers, also meet the author, and you can also make book lists. So also big news is Teaching Books recently has joined with Overdrive, or Overdrive bought Teaching Books. Do you know any more information on that, Kira? How that's going to work?
Based on the little tiny meeting that we had, Nick Glass, who's the founder, said everything will stay the same. So as far as I know, there haven't been any changes made, and right now there's not any plans to make changes. I'm curious to see how they're going to incorporate that with Overdrive, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything else but that. But Nick seemed really confident that everything would pretty much stay the same.
Okay, yeah, well, good. Yeah, it's really neat. We can also go over that if you guys want to later. I know the last thing people, when I sent out the survey was, people were curious about the Access Indiana, what happened with Access and Inspire. Access Indiana is now, it's a single sign-in onto multiple Indiana services. And I do have a slide in my other slide deck that I'll show you what all services are there. Basically, it was created, Access Indiana was created to help Hoosiers do business within the state. So it was, it's in order to deliver great government service, a single sign-on, one log on and password gets individuals into multiple systems. And that'll make more sense when I show you the list of the different services that are on there. So once a resident of Indiana creates an account, they can use the same username and password to access any of these services under the Available Services tab. But also keep in mind, you don't have to use that to search Inspire. But if you do have the option, if you want to have a username and a password to be able to save articles, photos, ebooks, etc., all the information on Inspire, you can save it into folders. If it's something that you don't need or if your patrons don't need, there's no need to do this. It's just a kind of an extra service. But previously I did a staff day, I think in October, and I was surprised I was not able to get into my folders. So if you have patrons who were also surprised by this, hopefully this will help you guide them as how to make this work for them if they need to get back to their folders. So again, they'll have to get an Access Indiana account to get to your saved articles that are on Inspire. So I will take you through that process. Do we have any questions at this point in the chat?
Lisa made a good point. She said if your IP is not recognized, you will be asked to create an account as well. And that's probably aimed at the people that maybe work in Indiana but live in Illinois or vice versa.
Right. And I also, when I lived up near Chicago in Lake County in Indiana still, I think I had some issues sometimes getting onto Inspire. So yeah, definitely around the outline of the Indiana, you might have problems with that.
And then Laurie says, since the change, we can't even access many of the Inspire databases without creating an Access Indiana account.
Okay. That's interesting to know.
Yeah.
What library are you at? Is she at?
I don't know, Laurie. Do you want to share what library you are?
Or you could tell us later.
Centerville, Center Township Public Library. She said she tried submitting their IP range to the help desk and it didn't help.
Okay.
She's in Wayne County, which is near the Ohio border.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I could work with her, just see if I can figure it out too. If you can't get, well, just it being good for us to know too, how you're doing, what the problems are, because we don't know all the problems that are happening with it.
Yeah,
So.
It sounds like that just means their IPs are not recognized as being within the state of Indiana.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Or that's a good one for a help desk ticket, which I did not show. Let me go back to that. When you're on the Inspire main page, way at the bottom, there is a contact. It's also in the FAQs, but you can send in your comments or questions. So, okay, and here's an infographic I put together to maybe help explain it a little bit. So basically, Access Indiana really pertains mostly to the 67 EBSCO databases. I was doing just a trial to get to the different other databases like Who's Your State Chronicles and Indiana Memory. You can use those separately, or you get into those separately, and I didn't have to use a password. Or Learning Express is an EBSCO product, but that also kind of works a little differently than the other EBSCO databases. With Learning Express, you can do test prep, read books like about ASVAB, SATs, college prep, and you can do quizzes and test yourself. So it uses a separate login. Newspaperscom is also separate. And right now, again, we're having troubles with that. I wasn't able to get into that. Rosetta Stone, you can learn different languages. That one is also a separate login. And I found that Teaching Books and Book Connections is also separate. So it doesn't seem to be tied to the Access Indiana. Okay, I see we've got some more in chat. Anything else we need to ask or answer before we head out to the next section?
Laurie just said that she thought it would be more helpful to talk directly with someone about what they're experiencing.
Okay.
So I told her I'm writing her info down and that we can follow up with her.
Okay, cool. All right, great. Well, I'll go ahead and go over to my other one that I put together on Inspire and Access Indiana. I was going to do this separately, record it separately, and but I'll go through it. Don't worry about trying to write things down. I'll send this out to you later. I think I also saved this like in a PDF. I could send it out as well with my notes. So don't worry too much about the details. Let me make sure I bring up my information. Just a second. Okay. So some of these slides are the same. Oops, back up. So these are some of the different services on Access Indiana besides Inspire. And it sounds like more will be added in the future. So some of these, like the BMV online scheduler, I assume that's something like if you're going to schedule a test, maybe. Things on COVID, fish and wildlife, maybe that's getting your license. Another thing, I thought order a birth and death certificate. That might be good for libraries to know about for genealogy. Register to vote. So yeah, whole lot of things right now at this point that are on there. So what you do to get started, what you would do is go to www.in.gov/access, and then you'd sign up for an account. So this is if you do not have an Inspire EBSCO account. So say you're starting fresh, you want to save articles. So this is what you would go through. So it would bring up this page, and you just type in your email. And I used a separate email than what I used before when I did. Well, I did do this very similar thing when I was trying to get back to my folder. So I tried to use an email that was not my previous email that I used to get into Inspire. So it'll send you a verification code as well. So then you'll put in your password, and it gives you some password requirements at what it wants you to use in your password or what not to use. You'd sign up, very easy to do, your name, phone. You don't have to put an organization in if you don't need one, to put one in there, and then you just hit create account. And then if you want to also go a step further, you can do the two-step verification. I went ahead and did it just to see what it was like. So I had my phone, it texts me, or if you want a voice mail, and you can skip it as well. And also if you want an optional recovery email, I went ahead and did that. And then you'll have a dashboard. Once you're signed on, you can bookmark the different services. I think this doesn't show what I did because I probably didn't really look into it that deeply at the time I was putting this together, but you can bookmark, say, Inspire, if you get into the fish and wildlife a lot, whatever services you want to get, you can put it on your dashboard and get into pretty easily. Also over here, it'll have your profile. I just went ahead and blocked it out. Well, I guess I didn't block it all out. I tried to. And then you can also change your profile, change your email address, all that stuff here. That you can do this once you get signed in. So these are some of the steps to take if you do have an Inspire EBSCO account, how to merge it. So what I did, I went ahead and did a search. I just put Indiana in just to do a basic search. So next I went to sign in, and previously when I tried to sign in, it gave me a message saying, I can't remember what it said, I wasn't able to get in. So I couldn't get to my folders during the session I was doing at a staff day last month. So it probably brought this up and I didn't know what to do with it. So after researching it, I went ahead and signed up, used an email that, again, I wasn't previously using. And then it'll ask about additional information about personal data collection. So really, basically, you have to hit yes to go on and continue with that. But we'll send this all out so you can see that later.
Actually, Paula, I chose no.
Oh, so it lets you say no.
And it did let me go ahead past, yes.
I didn't want to jinx it, I guess. Good to know.
I just wanted to make sure if people don't want to share their information, that it does work, or it did for me.
Okay, well, when we will record this as a separate recording, we'll make sure we get all this right. Okay. So I happen to hit yes and Kara hit no. So it gets you to the point of merging your new Access Indiana account with your old EBSCO account. So again, I did another search, just typed in Indiana. And now you, oops, sorry, now you can see I have things in my folder. So this was from my old folder. So what you want to do is update my account, or maybe that will not be there. I had to redo some of these screenshots because they were very blurry. So you had to, next you hit update my account. So down here is when it says, do you want to go ahead and merge your account? So I want to merge my new account with my old one. So I hit get started. So it wants me to sign into my second account, and I went ahead and had things saved on my computer. So it probably already knew my old account credentials. So I did that. And this was what my old one was. And I had just a username. So I did have another email with it as well. But so it signed me in. And then these will just be a few little steps here. You hit continue with merge account. And I apologize, these are also very blurry. I did screenshots and I wasn't able to do it. I didn't do a snip. I should have snipped them instead of doing a screenshot. So if I would make these bigger, they would be very blurry. Next, make sure you want to continue with the merge, hit continue, and then it would go to my account. And at this point, again, I don't remember what it looked like, what it exactly did, if it took me to Inspire or if I had to go back and get into Inspire by myself. So I'm going to go ahead, get back into Inspire, do another search to get me into this spot, sign in. So it will, once you put your mouse there, it'll populate with your email. So it did that for me, and I hit continue. Now it let me in, and you can see my folder is now populated. I believe it was not populated before when I was on the other screen. So once I populated it, my articles were in here and ebooks, but the ebooks that I have here, I saved PDFs of ebooks. You could save PDFs, you can just read it on your computer, or you can download ebooks on your computer or on your phone. That's something that's new. And this is where Kara got stuck. She must have had an ebook checked out, and she doesn't know where it's at. So she's working with, you go ahead and take.
Yeah. Actually, it was, I actually went through what Paula just demonstrated. And whenever I got to the part where I tried to merge my accounts, it said I had an ebook checked out. So I went back and looked again. I tried to sign in with my old account, make sure that everything was checked in, and it was. I didn't have anything. All of those things under my folder said 0. So I tried again, and it just won't work. It just stays in that loop where it keeps telling me I have an ebook checked out. So I have been going back and forth with EBSCO trying to get an answer on what to do when you get that message. How do you clear that out if you don't actually have an ebook checked out? So I'm still working on that. Hopefully we'll get it fixed. But if you do run into issues, I would say contact, I would say EBSCO, because EBSCO is who I'm working with. I'm trying to think where you go. You know, they talked about that EBSCO Connect during the D2D conference. And there is a place where you can send in a request for help. But I guess they could do the Inspire help desk first, and then they could send them to EBSCO. That'd probably be the easiest if they have issues.
Yeah.
Hopefully they won't.
Yeah. At this point, I don't know how many staff members across Indiana save things to their folders or patrons. And have you guys had questions about that? Let's see, we've got about 14 things in the chat.
I have a feeling schools do that a lot with their students, I'm not sure how much users in public libraries do that. I don't know. Has anybody tried it? I'm going to say no.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
and I also took it a step further just to see, I think I used my phone. EBSCO has an app. I'm going to see if you guys can see it. I can also hook this up on my computer, but I didn't do that ahead of time. Anyway, am I going to do the right spot? See the thing that says EBSCO? It's probably not very.
I do. I see it.
So if you sign up or put that on your phone, if you have a smartphone, you can go through there and download books on your phone and on your device. And once you do that, it will also show up on your Inspire page as well for that. Like it says, I have a checkout. Right now, I don't really have a checkout because I think I've been just saying I check it out just to see what it does. And then it's like a 1-day checkout. I don't know how many days you can go up to when you're checking out a book. I guess I could do that right now.
I think it was 3 weeks.
3
I
weeks.
think. Yeah. We've got a couple other things that came in the chat. Deborah said they do not see the chat. She said perhaps others are didn't actually click on everyone in that menu at the bottom. If you look at the chat, there is a place at the bottom that says to, and then there are different choices, host and panelists, everyone, even individual panelists. You need to make sure that you are on everyone to get your questions to go to everyone else and to us, I guess, so we can see it. And then Lisa put some advice in there about if they have issues like I was having, that it would be a vendor issue and they would need to contact EBSCO. And so she put the email in the chat there that they could copy and save. So I don't know if you can see can you see the chat?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Lisa said it should be already set to everyone. I don't know. Mine was set to host and panelists. I had to switch mine.
I went through the chat and looked, and all the messages are going to everyone except the ones I'm sending to you guys.
Okay. Thank you for checking.
That is pretty much what I had. We can go through other things if we need to. Anybody want me to demonstrate anything else? I'm hoping that helped make sense with what Access Indiana is and how it affects Inspire. No, it definitely took me by surprise when I was doing that, my staff day. Because I always, when I do them trainings, I always show people how to save things to your folders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially since we have ebooks now. To check out an ebook, you do have to have a folder. So, anyone that wants to check out an ebook through EBSCO will have to go through that process.
So let's see what it does to me. Let's go ahead and do a live one and see if I can make it work. So I'm going to check out an ebook. So if I could save the PDF and it'll look just like the book, or I could do the full download. So I'll click on the full download. Oh, of course I have to sign in. Forgot. Sign in.
See, there it is. That's why you have to have a folder.
Good thing I'm not signed in. So it shows you I have 2 different emails. So I'll just go ahead and use that one. So then you could do either the desktop or the EPUB. So
there's where it says 21 days too, under ebook download details, borrow for 21 days.
Yeah, I don't think I have the Adobe Digital Editions on my computer. So I don't think this, I can't, that's why I cannot get Oh, can I? I'll see what it does. I don't think it's gonna let me do it. Oh, it did.
Oh, you did.
That's another thing I always tell people in my presentations. You never, things do change on,
And it does say that you have to have
Technology things.
Adobe Digital Editions is required to view it, the book offline.
so we'll see what
So,
it looks like. I hope it doesn't come up on my other screen. Well, maybe I have to go to my checkouts.
as you can see, we are always learning too. There's always changes, things we have to learn.
Yeah, so it looks like it also does the PDF full text and the full download. I really didn't think I had Adobe Digital Connect editions on mine.
Maybe that's why it's not coming up. I don't know. If you had it, maybe it would come up when you click on that.
I assume so. I think with the state of Indiana, some of our computers don't let you do that. At least it didn't a few years ago. So I think that's probably my problem. So you might have that same issue at your libraries if they don't let you use that, but I could go right directly into the PDF. So I wonder though, at this point, if I go into my EBSCO app, it should be there as well.
Yes, that's hopefully what happens. Do you actually have Adobe Digital Editions on your phone?
No.
No, okay. I actually installed it on my phone and I was able to use the books that I checked out, but no, crud, I forget what I was going to say. Oh, you do have to have Adobe Digital Editions. That's what I was going to say. And I do have it installed and I will go to Adobe Digital Editions, but it's almost like, I mean, there's really nothing you do with Adobe Digital Editions. It's just something you have to have for the book to open up. It's kind of like the book software or whatever.
Well, it didn't open up in my app, but I think I could also do it directly in the app. I thought it would do it in the app.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the Libby or Overdrive or whatever. You have to have that software in the background, running in the background to make it work.
So anyone else have any other thing you want us to show you? I guess I could go a step further for that other question about the parent magazine. I'll just bring up just any article.
I was also going to tell you, I tried newspapers.com on the front page and it seemed like it was working now.
Okay, I'll try that again.
Yeah.
So this is how you can look up articles. Again, like I said, you could either search if you know what you're looking for, or you could look at the issues. I'm just going to click on December. So you know what? And I don't know why sometimes they show you, like this is just giving me the options for the PDF and the save to the cloud. Let me back up and see if another issue.
I don't remember seeing that saved to the cloud thing before. Is that new?
No.
It's always been there?
Yeah, like if you hit save to the cloud, it'll let you do save it to Google Docs.
Oh, okay.
Or Google Drive or Dropbox or OneDrive.
Okay. So is that their personal Google Drive, you mean?
Yeah, so then it's okay, we'll go ahead and do that. So say I want to save that to my Google Drive. So I'm already signed in.
Mm-hmm.
And I did do this the other day and it was a little glitchy.
Oh, no. I might have asked a bad question. Well, there are no bad questions, but
you can see it. We get.
Yeah, I had just never seen that before.
It should have come up, and the other day it did not come up. Usually it would make a folder And I'm not seeing it working for me.
Oh, no. So when you say
No.
make a folder and you think it worked, was that a parent's folder? Or
Now I'm trying to think what, like I used to try this with the Gale biography
Oh, okay.
and context, and it would come up with it would make its own folder, but for some reason I'm not seeing it with, so I'm not sure if that's
Okay.
quite working right. Or again, you could save it to your folder, which
Mhm.
I need to sign in to do that.
So now every time you sign in, it will take you back to that Access Indiana screen? Or once you're established, it looks like it just kind of bypassed that screen.
Yeah, I think if it would time out, I don't know what the timing is. So if you guys
Okay.
try this and you've done doing other things, and then you might have to do it again. So I'm
Sign
gonna-
in again, you mean?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm gonna, okay, back to school somehow. I'm gonna save this in my folder. Let me go
I see
back.
it.
Well, so let's go back to folder.
You can actually see your folder items on the right-hand side too,
Right.
which is good.
So back to school somehow is on there.
If you do PDF full text, does it look like the magazine when you do that? It's supposed to, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
I guess I was looking also for the HTML, because if you use if it has the HTML, you can actually, if someone's visually impaired or maybe English is not their first language, you could have it, the computer will read it to them. I
Right.
didn't see that being an option for some reason. Maybe they don't all have that option.
Yeah,
But
I think you're correct on that. I think some do not. And if it did, it would have had it beside the PDF full text.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
the cool thing, even though I just saved that one article, it looks like it's getting me into the whole magazine. So
Oh, wow, cool.
you can see the other articles that are in that magazine, and
Okay.
like 1 through 5 and then 6 through 10, and just keep going through the magazine.
There was secrets of working from home success.
Where was that?
Yeah, I think it was in the, yeah. Go down just a little bit. I think
Sorry about that. There.
there. Yeah,
This one?
I'm interested in that one. I'm sure this is for people that have kids. So.
Yeah. Well, let me do another search. I'm just going to keep my Indiana in there.
Do you want to try the newspapers.com at the bottom too?
I'll do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, let me do this real
Sure.
quick, and then I'll go back to that. Remind me. So I wanted to
Okay.
see if I could bring up the HTML. So my fallback is always People magazine. Oh, and I accidentally clicked too many things. I get click happy, so I'm sorry about that. So I'm going to go to master file complete. I'll do November 1st.
Looks like they load the magazines really quickly. I mean,
Yes.
that's already there, so that's good.
Right. So this is an example of one that has the HTML full text, the PDF full text, and the save to cloud. But so the HTML full text, probably a lot of you are familiar with, it's just the text and you can listen to it and it'll read it to you.
Mhm.
Okay, let's go back to,
Yeah, that's really, really helpful for people that have vision issues.
mhm,
You know, or even people that have English as a second language.
right.
You know, I think you can switch the language. I think you demonstrated that before. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, and also you can select the different languages on here, English, French, Spanish for the search. And then once you get into EBSCO, you could also, depending, I think you could change the articles. Well, in the HTML, you can change the articles to different languages.
Okay.
We can show that too. But going back down to newspapers.com, newspapers.com is a little different. It doesn't work with all of the databases. So it's kind of separate. Now you have to hit it, click it once, and then it takes you back to our home page, and you got to click it again. And it's just this little link down here. So it's
Oh,
not,
that's not very obvious.
that's not obvious. So you got to click on that.
Well, that's not very good. You have to know that. I didn't even know that. I mean, that's so tiny.
So I'm going to try to search it and see what happens. So it brings up the different articles. I'm going to click it and you'll see what I get unless it's changed, unless they fixed it. It's fixed. Never mind.
Yay. Yay. I was hoping so. Yay.
What came up for me instead was like you had to, it said 7-day access, you had to sign
Like set
up.
account or whatever.
And that was just a couple days ago.
Well, they must have
last
just
week.
got it working,
Yeah.
which is good to know because it hadn't been working for a while. What about that button up there that says save to ancestry? I guess, I mean, we don't have ancestry, but libraries do. Some libraries do. So I
Right.
guess I'm sure someone would have to teach us that.
So if you're at your own library, you've got ancestry at your library. Yeah, I am not a genealogist. My mom was, but she didn't use computers either. But anyway, I'm not sure what you do. I'll click on it
Yeah.
just to see what happens.
Yeah, for the libraries that do have ancestry, it's another feature, I guess.
Yeah, or you
Oh.
can do clippings and you can save things on your, like I did register and it, like I said, it's separate from the EBSCO Access Indiana ones.
Lisa said, let's see if I could go back just a teeny
Right.
bit. Yeah. Are you reading it?
Oh, you
Oh,
have to
she
be at the
said they
state
have-
library to access it for free, but then above it.
Patrons could not save to ancestry through the library version.
Okay.
It's only personal.
So say then someone, if they were at your library, they had their own subscription to Ancestry, they were logged in, and then if they get into this, then they would be able to save it, I assume, into.
Yes,
Okay,
that's what-
okay.
Thanks, Rianne. I learned something too. Thank you.
Paula, I wanted to just point out that where it says newspapers.com at the bottom of the Inspire page, it tells you what you need to do when you go there.
Oh, I didn't say it's kind of tiny. To use newspapers.com, they must access Inspire here. The link can be found on the right side of the page under the Hoosier State Chronicles. I'm click that little here and see what that does. Does that do something different? Brings you back. Okay, just brings you back to that same spot.
So but it tells you that you need to do that additional step.
Right. Maybe we need that a tiny bit bigger.
Or potentially in a different color.
That could be helpful. Okay.
I can
So-
mention that.
Okay, so we can either hit the logo or you can hit the little blue here. That's, yeah,
Yeah.
it is kind of hard to see.
I'll
Same with
mention it.
book. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So same as book connections and teaching books, those aren't a part of the EBSCO. When you do a search, all the EBSCO databases search everything together, or you could search separately as well.
You know, actually, I think they are integrated a little bit now. And if you want,
What would
try
be?
to go back to, or try to choose kids or students and see, or maybe the grades K-4. I'm not absolutely positive about that, but I thought that was one thing that we were working on, was trying to get where they could get to book connections and teaching books through Inspire. Maybe it's just in the works. Maybe I just heard that. Maybe it's not actually working.
So I'll type in Cinder. That was one of, well, I probably should have put the author's name in. All right, everybody out on the chat. What's the author's name who wrote the Cinder series? Thank you. It's been a while.
Marissa Meyer.
So we'll see, you can see what database that one is in. So master file complete, business source complete, master file complete. Let's see. I was hoping something would come up.
Yeah,
I think you are right. I just don't know.
I might I might be wrong, and it might be one of those things that hasn't happened yet. I just know that was one thing they were working on. I'll go over to the right column and scroll down a little bit.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They're there. Maybe that's what I was thinking. So if you click on it, then from there, does it take you right to Center Resources?
It did.
It did. We figured it out. Yay.
I'm sorry. We learn something every time we do these. So
Yay, we figured it out. Okay, so from there, you could click that and then that would open it up for all the other things. Okay, well, that's great and good to know and a lot easier.
So hopefully that makes sense. Let's see, what else can we share?
Should we talk about those buttons where it's kids, students, and adults? Or yeah, those, because that takes you to Explora.
Yeah, so Explora has the specific grade levels. Now, for me, I gotta double check and see what the difference between kids, like if you just hit kids, and I'll go back, it gives you some very similar, but it gives you things on literature, STEAM, skill. If we go back, well, I'll just click on that, grades K-4 and see how it's different. It gets you right into Explora.
Right.
So, and then your searches should be geared just for those age levels, the K-4.
Yeah. This was done because of the people that protest in the State House against, children being able to access material that is too old for them or inappropriate for them. So this is one thing that the Indiana State Library worked with EBSCO on, was to open up those tabs where you would just go to specific grade level appropriate material. So I just wanted to mention that because that is, that is one way that they have tried to make it not where everything is like all together, but some of the, sources are pulled out.
Okay. I'll go ahead and hit Inspire again. Let's see. Should I show? I know I've shown these things to different presentations. I can go through the test prep too.
Sure, but if you click on adults, what does it have? I'm just curious because I haven't done that. Oh, okay.
Even though
okay, I don't really know what the purpose of that is. So
search by subject is really good. It'll get you similar things, even that. So
right,
that
looks much more. Yeah,
that gives you more options.
Yeah.
So
we might have to work on that adults tab a little bit. They're trying
to make it easy, but there's a lot of things that are replicated and
a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. So students, so it's probably older students.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure. It looks like they tried to cut it off. And I'm not exactly sure how that works because it may just be the level that the student is at, because they might be in grades 5 through 8 and they might be advanced. So they might be able to use more high school materials and vice versa. They may be in middle school, but should actually be using elementary sources. So I don't know. I still feel like we need to work on that a little bit, on making that what it's supposed to be.
Right.
That's just my 2 cents.
So do you guys want me to show you the test prep? So I guess I'll go ahead and click on it and show you that you would need to sign in and register, and that it's different than, like I said, the Access. It has its own separate sign in login. They can still definitely use it without doing this, but this will just show you that they can do their test, what's in progress, what they've completed, which ones, and tutorials. They have tutorials and ebooks, articles, and flashcards. So they can save it all on their own little dashboard. So
But in order to save anything that's in process, they would have to create an account for,
Right,
right.
right. So in all my trainings, I always say, please go ahead and do that. Sign on into these so you can see what they do. So you can help your patrons better. Even say going into Hoosier State Chronicles, I'm
Mhm.
going to click on that. I'll do a search. And this is funny. I didn't notice this before. I'll show you in a second. If you hit search,
Mhm.
again, I'm going to do Davies. That's where I'm from. If you click on one of the articles,
Mhm.
it has on this side, there's the text. And it's the,
Oh, okay.
how it creates that is optical character recognition. So when they scan the actual microfilm or newspaper, it did this. Well, sometimes it makes mistakes. Maybe the print is bad. So people can actually register and sign in to help correct things. I'm going to actually log in. So you just log in. I mean, I'm not going to correct anything right now, but let me go back to the home. So now,
What login did you use? Right.
oh, sorry, I did that
again.
so quick, didn't I?
Yeah. Was it?
It might have been, well, I can sign in.
EBSCO? Or did you have a separate account for Hoosier State?
Well, I guess I went ahead and used my Indiana State Library email,
Okay.
but it's still separate from Access Indiana.
Okay.
But so say on the homepage, I hadn't even noticed this before. You can see the top correctors, text correctors here on the
Oh,
side.
cool.
So it's kind of a, what do you call that?
Yeah.
When people are trying to compete against each other. I don't know if they are, but
I have not seen that. I knew you could make changes, but I didn't know that was on there.
so we've got Denise. So yeah, it takes people who
Yeah.
love doing this. I mean, say like I used to love doing cross stitch. I would probably love doing this too. I've got some other projects I got to do instead of this, but yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I think that is a very cool. So Denise, we want to see you up here on this list. No, just kidding. But that is cool. I think it actually maybe gives more people's names. Yeah. So they have a Hall of Fame.
That's awesome.
I don't know why I never noticed
There's
that.
Jen Clifton. Jill Black. I think Jen was down a little bit further. I just happened to see as we scrolled by.
Regina.
David Lawrence, I think.
Regina.
Yeah, Regina.
Oh,
That's all the people that work here.
we know D. Lawrence. I had no, oh my goodness.
I know. I did not know either. Well, now I know what I should devote my sitting in front of the TV time to making changes.
So
That's pretty cool.
oh yeah, Justin. Justin told this in the webinar. Yeah. So yeah, Justin's done a couple webinars for us for Hoosier State Chronicles and Indiana Memory. So very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And they are also on the archive webinars page. So I feel like I've kind of rambled and been a whole lot of different places today. Any other questions or keep backing out? I'll probably just go back to the Indiana State Library and get to our page again.
I think the one thing that I want to say is Inspire is not easy to navigate. It's so fast. It has so many resources. And it's really, really hard to keep up with the changes. We've just shown you that ourselves. Sometimes things don't work. So hopefully you know what to do with that now if something doesn't work. That information was back in the chat, but maybe Paula could send it out afterwards. But I just want you guys to feel more comfortable knowing that, Paula and I still learn too as we go through and, get ready for trainings and all that. But it's really, really hard to keep up with all of it.
Right. Because we have people are, EBSCO is doing their thing and they might make a change and we won't know about it until it affects us or we see it or, Indiana Memory and the Hoosier State Chronicles, those are done by people, staff members at Indiana State Library. And so they're separate. And then we've got people working on the Inspire page and that's a separate thing. And then we as trainers try to help navigate through things. So we're always willing to come to your libraries. If you guys want a staff day training, we could go directly to your library. I do the Northeast. Laura Jones is the Northwest. George Bergstrom is the Southwest. And Courtney Brown has been away on leave. She's coming back soon. So she does the Southeast, and Kara does the Indianapolis area. So, and she helps out when we can't do training. So just let us know.
Yeah.
Well,
Does anybody have any last minute questions that popped up? If so, you could put them in the chat and we could send out an email or whatever with the answers.
she said what that is.